Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next hour, US President Trump wants to impose additional tariffs on countries selling oil to Cuba, eases Venezuela sanctions after oil sector reforms. Trump plans to talk to Iran while Pentagon prepares for possible action. West Asian nations urge to resolve issue through dialogue. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar to hold talks with Arab leaders as New Delhi is set to host the second India-Arab Foreign Ministers meeting on 31st of January. Amidst the growing grim situation in West Asia, US President Donald Trump said that he was planning to talk to Iran, referring to his quote saying, "We have a lot of very big, very powerful ships sailing to Iran right now, and it would be great if we didn't have to use them." Reiterating Trump's warning to intervene if Iran continued to kill protesters, US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said that the US military will be prepared to carry out whatever President Donald Trump decides on Iran to ensure Tehran does not pursue nuclear weapons capability.
They have all the options to make a deal. They should not pursue nuclear capabilities. We will be prepared to deliver whatever this president expects of the War Department.
Multiple West Asian countries have recently called on the United States and Iran to resume dialogue to solve their differences and work toward de-escalating regional tensions as the US continues to exert pressure on Iran. Leaders of Saudi Arabia, Egypt and Qatar reaffirmed commitment not to allow its airspace, territory or waters to be used in any military actions against Iran. Meanwhile, European Union on Thursday designated Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps a terrorist group amid protests crackdown, putting the powerful guards in a category similar to that of Islamic State and Al-Qaeda. EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas wrote on social media platform X, and I quote, "Repression cannot go unanswered. Any regime that kills thousands of its own people is working toward its own demise." The EU also adopted sanctions targeting 15 individuals and 6 entities responsible for serious human rights violations in Iran. The list includes Iranian Interior Minister Eskander Momeni, Prosecutor General Mohammad Moawahedi Azad, a number of IRGC commanders, Iranian Audiovisual Media Regulatory Authority, and several software companies. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi criticized the EU minister's decision. The Iranian minister wrote on X, and I quote, "Europe is making another major strategic mistake. The EU's current posture is deeply damaging to its own interests." Well, to talk more on this, I've been joined by Ambassador S.R. Tayal, former senior diplomat, who's joining us on DD India News Hour. Sir, a very warm welcome to DD India News Hour. It all started with protests by the people over economic malaise and soon swelled into an anti-government movement, as we all know this. As per some reports, around 5,000 to 6,000 people have lost their lives, and relatives of the victims there, according to some reports again, say that their lives will not be forgotten in silence. How do you assess the situation in Iran right now? We'll talk about what is the situation between Iran and the United States a little later, but how do you assess the situation which is there within the country?
Within Iran, as far as all the reports are concerned, as we know, there is no foreign correspondent allowed in Iran. And earlier there was an internet ban also. So not much information is coming out. But whatever is coming out, that is, protests seem to have now died out. At least the intensity is much less. more than 6,000 people perhaps have been killed. That also there is really no number. And ultimately, any such protest in any country does not remain at a high peak for a very long period of time.
Okay.
Because people have their own lives, they go back to their families and all of that. So discontentment against the regime is there. It is there. But I would say that perhaps the law and order problem and that kind of demonstrations which we saw on the streets, they have been suppressed for the time being.
Okay, they have been suppressed for the time being. Were these protests just because of the plunging economy, or there's some other reason to it as well, according to you?
It is a collection of grievances. There is economy is poor over a long period of time. The youngsters are not getting jobs. Their aspirations are different. The Islamic Revolution happened in 1989, so now lots of things have changed since then. And new generation has different aspirations, whereas the old guard, the mullahs, etc., they are holding on to power. So there is a demand of the new generation, which whoever rules will have to accede to. But the state has very strong powers of enforcement of law and order. There is Basij, which is the domestic force. Then, of course, Islamic Revolutionary Guards are there. So all the systems of organs of power are with the state, and we have not seen, at least in the outside world, any serious crack in the highest echelons of power in Iran, whether among the clergy or among the politicians who are manning the National Assembly, etc. So that way, I would say that the regime is stable for the time being.
Okay, the regime is stable for the time being, but the protest which happened, the protesters are certainly eyeing the regime change, isn't it?
They are eyeing the regime change, but they can only express their views because elections are held there, but all the candidates are approved by a committee of clergymen.
You're right.
So it's not a real election. The parties are not allowed to operate. It is a guided election. Very limited democracy is there. So there is a dissonance. There is a gulf between the people, their aspirations, their hopes, how they look at the future, and the leadership, which is perhaps still living in the past.
Okay, now, sir, let's talk about what is happening between US and Iran. Tensions are building between Iran and the United States. Donald Trump warned that this week that time is running out for Iran to return to talks to reach a new deal, in fact, on its nuclear program. Is it just nuclear deal, or are there some other demands by the United States as well? Or is it's just restricted to the nuclear talks?
One thing is clear that President Donald Trump will decide if and when to take any action against Iran. And he's not constrained by any of his allies or in Congress or international opinion. And as far as the policy towards Iran is concerned, Israel and United States work closely together, and perhaps also EU. Now, today the statement which has come from President Donald Trump is that he has put two conditions to avoid for Iran to be attacked.
Yeah.
That no move towards nuclear weapons.
Right.
And to stop killing protesters.
Right.
Now, the killing of protesters apparently has already stopped because the movement lost steam or whatever the reason, at least in public domain. Internationally, those complaints are not coming.
So do you think the killing of protesters were stopped just because of the fear of the United States?
I would think definitely it had an effect.
Okay.
Because there was a news item that one or two people will be hanged at that time, about a week, 10 days back. And when President Trump issued this warning, then the clergy and the judges said, no, we never wanted him to be hanged. And so, see, Iran has realized after last June's attack that their forces are absolutely incapable of preventing another attack by United States. The way United States attacked Venezuela, they can cripple the entire defensive system
You're right.
of any country, including Iran. So they are not fools. I mean, everybody realizes that what are its limitations.
Yeah.
President Trump is unstoppable, he is unconventional, and he can do whatever has not been done before.
But what will it be that easy for Trump this time? Because Iran has said that we are also ready. I mean, when they say they are ready, they must be having something in their kitty. Is it so?
After June last year, Iran could not retaliate. They had a very feeble attack on the Qatar base of United States, and
Right.
that also perhaps the news is that they were told in advance because they do not want escalation. Now the point is that so if we say that okay, now the killings have stopped. So one part of President Trump's demands has already been met, or it has happened.
But the wider agenda is the nuclear talks.
Nuclear.
Wider
And there are
agenda
no
is the nuclear
negotiations
talks.
going on. But there are no negotiations going on. So
Exactly.
somewhere negotiations have to commence. Now the Iranian foreign minister has said that we are ready to talk. And he has said that we never want, well, they have always been saying it, that we never wanted nuclear weapons, but we have the right to pursue peaceful uses of nuclear energy.
But
So there is
enrichment
no
of
room for
60%, but enrichment of 60% of uranium, it is something that no nation perhaps has done, because when the JCPOA happened in 2015, the capping was done for about 3.67% enrichment of the uranium, and it's 60% now. And when it comes to 90%, you are capable of making a nuclear weapon. So these are the talks all about. And let me just correct my statement once again, that the wider agenda is nuclear talks and the ballistic missiles of Iran as well.
Correct. The wider agenda certainly is Iran's nuclear program, which has always been very ambiguous and very duplicitous. But after June, President Trump had said that the Iranian nuclear program has been obliterated. That was the word. So obviously that has not happened. The intelligence reports perhaps are that still there are facilities and work on Iranian nuclear program is going on. But these are all points for negotiations. As our Prime Minister says, ultimately diplomacy and dialogue has to prevail.
Yeah.
So, let us see how it goes.
Can
But,
IAEA can do something here, the nuclear watchdog?
They can come in if there are negotiations. Then certain conditions can be placed on the Iranian nuclear program, where full access would be provided to IAEA inspectors. So they will certainly have a role if there is an agreement between Iran and the United States. Because JCPOA is now out. These will be direct negotiations between Iran and the United States. So if those negotiations start at any level, then I would say that the danger of an immediate attack on Iran will be receded. But the Abraham Lincoln, that Armada, President Trump said, beautiful armada, that is sailing, that will reach close to Iran. So for any attack, America will not need the airspace of the neighbors of Iran. So so it's high stakes maneuver. But if it is to force Iran to the negotiating table, then perhaps the immediate danger of war or any attack on Iran would be averted.
Definitely. We'll have to wait and see what will happen next. But as of now, thank you so much, sir. We leave it there. Thank you so much for joining in on DD Indian News.
Thank you.
The Trump administration on Thursday broadly eased US sanctions on Venezuela's oil industry to encourage higher production. The Treasury Department issued a sweeping general license allowing US companies to engage in routine activities involving Venezuelan crude and state oil firm PDVSA, from production and transport to refining and sales. This replaces the earlier policy of granting individual waivers. The license bans non-commercial payment terms, debt swaps, gold or digital currency transactions, and excludes entities linked to Russia, Iran, North Korea, Cuba, or China. The move came as Venezuelan lawmakers approved reforms to the country's oil law, expanding autonomy for private producers and formalizing production sharing models. Venezuela's acting president, Delcy Rodriguez, called the changes a historic leap and said Venezuela was taking important steps after speaking with President Donald Trump. US President Donald Trump said on Thursday that he planned on opening up Venezuela's airspace after a discussion on Thursday with the country's acting president, Delcy Rodriguez. Trump also said that major US oil companies are going to the South American country to scout out projects. Trump made his comments during his first cabinet meeting of 2026.
And I just spoke to the president of Venezuela and informed her that we're going to be opening up all commercial airspace over Venezuela. American citizens will be very shortly able to go to Venezuela, and they'll be safe there.
US President Donald Trump signed an executive order on Thursday threatening to impose additional tariffs on countries that sell oil to Cuba, increasing pressure on Mexico. The proposed new levies were outlined in an executive order, although no details were given on specific tariff rates or which countries would be targeted. Trump has repeatedly threatened action against Cuba and its leadership. In the wake of the US military operation to oust former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, earlier Trump has said the Cuban government is ready to fall. Meanwhile, Cuba's foreign minister slammed US President Trump's executive order threatening tariffs, calling it a brutal act of aggression. Donald Trump and Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum spoke on Thursday about trade and security. Trump praised Sheinbaum as Mexico's wonderful and highly intelligent leader. Both leaders said the call was productive. The call follows a Wednesday meeting in Washington between Sheinbaum's economy chief and the U.S. trade representative, who agreed to begin formal discussions on possible reforms to the United States-Mexico-Canada trade agreement. US President Donald Trump on Thursday warned Canada that the United States could impose a 50% tariff on all aircraft sold in the country. In a post on Truth Social, Trump said the move would take effect unless Canada immediately certifies business jets made by US aircraft manufacturer Gulfstream Aerospace. He also accused Canada of wrongly and illegally refusing certification for several Gulfstream models. The declaration comes amid broader tensions between the neighboring countries after Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, citing US trade policy, last week urged nations to accept the end of the rules-based global order that Washington had once championed. US President Donald Trump said on Thursday, Republicans and Democrats have agreed to get the vast majority of the federal government funded till September, while at the same time providing an extension to the Department of Homeland Security. Trump said in a post on Truth Social that Republicans and Democrats in Congress have come together to get the vast majority of the government funded until September, and that he was working with the US Congress to fully fund the government and avoid another shutdown. New Zealand rejected an invitation to take part in the US President Donald Trump's Board of Peace on Friday, joining a small list of nations to knock back the proposal. While many states have expressed misgivings, only a small number of nations, including as France, Norway and Croatia, have explicitly turned down invitations. Trump launched his Board of Peace initiative at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, last week. He was joined on stage by leaders and officials from 19 countries to sign its founding charter. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Thursday he expected the implementation of an agreement by Russia not to fire on Kiev and other cities for a week because of winter weather, as announced by US President Donald Trump. Zelensky said the days to come would show whether Moscow would abide by such an agreement. Speaking immediately afterwards in his nightly video address, Zelensky expressed his thanks to Washington for the initiative, which he described as halting Russian strikes on energy targets. US President Donald Trump said on Thursday that Kremlin leader Vladimir Putin had agreed to refrain from firing on Kiev and other Ukrainian cities for a week because of cold winter weather. Negotiators from Ukraine, Russia and the United States held unusual three-way contacts last weekend in the United Arab Emirates. Earlier on Thursday, Trump said that Russia had agreed to pause its shooting for a period of time.
I told that Russia's not doing any shooting for a period of time during this horrendously cold weather.
Because of you.
So we asked President Putin if they could stop the shooting for a week. They're being hit with proportionately the kind of cold that we're being hit. It's much colder in Ukraine to start off with, but it's really cold now, and he agreed to do that. We appreciated that very much. It's a nasty war. It's a nasty, nasty war.
The Board of Governors of the International Atomic Energy Agency, or IAEA, will hold a meeting on Ukraine on Friday. The meeting will focus on nuclear safety in Ukraine, with several countries expressing growing concern over volatile conditions at Ukrainian power plants. Energy supply to Ukraine's nuclear plants has repeatedly been affected as Russia has struck its neighbor's energy sector since the start of its invasion, prompting fears of a nuclear disaster. All right, and DD India's Akhilesh Suman joins us on the broadcast. Hi, Akhilesh. A very good afternoon to you. Akhilesh, Ukraine's energy sector has certainly taken a blow, because of the strikes by Russia. But as we just heard, Donald Trump saying it's a nasty, nasty situation between Russia and Ukraine, and they have requested Russia to not strike or to stop shootings for a week because it's chilly there in Ukraine, and because their energy sector is hit, they are not getting actually what they want. How do you analyze the situation there between Russia and Ukraine now? We'll also talk about the IAEA, which is planning to hold talks on Ukraine regarding their nuclear sector. What is your assessment?
I have a few friends in Ukraine, and
Okay.
I have been talking to them recently, and they have been telling that the temperature has gone down to minus 30 degrees centigrade in most of the cities in Ukraine. So you can imagine that that minus 30 degrees centigrade temperature, and if there is no power, it's like living in a hell.
Yeah.
And that is how Ukrainian peoples are facing, because there is no settlement between Volodymyr Zelensky and President Putin of Russia. I mean, that situation really people of Ukraine are facing the brunt of the fight between the two nations. And in between Donald Trump, who is understood to understand President Putin more than anyone else.
Yeah.
And he claims that he is in constant conversation and interaction with President Putin. And he has claimed that Putin has assured that there will be no bombing in Ukrainian cities. So let us see that how it happens. But given the fact that just now I have got a statement that was released on Thursday from the President Zelensky side, that if there is no attack from Russian side on energy sites in Ukraine, there will be no attack from Ukrainian side from our energy sites in Russia. So I think he is telling that it for tat is still possible. I don't know whether it is still possible or not when people of Ukraine are facing the situation. He is also telling that there is no agreement among the negotiators on the issue of territory of Ukraine. So in that situation, till now we don't have anything to say that there has been any agreement between Russia and Ukraine on any of the issues that were, waiting for resolution. And in that situation, if President, Trump is claiming that, Russia has said that there will be no attack on Ukraine, it is really very soothing for everyone in the world that at least people of the Ukraine should not be given the punishment and they don't have any role in that situation. So let us see that how Putin acts. But till now, though we have not heard of any attack since you can say that last 12 hours, but on Thursday early morning there had been attack by Russian side. One missile and many drones have gone inside Ukrainian territory, as Zelensky himself has claimed. So I think that everyone is praying for good sense and prevail on both the leaders, so that they should come on certain conclusion, so that people of Ukraine should not face the brunt of fight between the two nations.
Definitely. Akhilesh, we also got to know from you that you have friends in Ukraine, and right now situation is volatile there. But then if these shootings will stop for a week, then there'll be much relief, not just for the people of Ukraine, but as you said, that in the entire world, it's soothing situation, it seems like. IAEA, which is the nuclear watchdog, will also hold a meeting, regarding Ukraine. But my question to you is that, will they actually be able to say anything? They have a say, because I believe they have a say when the negotiations are taking place, isn't it?
Actually, IAEA has a role. IAEA has a role in securing the site from any leakage, because IAEA does not, ensure that who will have the propriety over the site. But their role is only on there should be secure. There should be security, so that there is no nuclear, erosion on the site. There should be no leakage of any nuclear.
Because they get real-time data. Because
So their role is very limited. So
right.
We cannot expect that anything coming out of those meetings, but that people should not get the leakage from any of the nuclear, energy power plant in Ukrainian cities, in Ukrainian situations, so that, people should not get any radiological situation. So I think IAEA is going there. IAEA will have a meeting on the issue of nuclear safety. That is very good. At least that this will be assurance for the people living around the site that they will be safe and secure from any radiological leakage.
You're absolutely right. And also, as far as the any solution between Russia and Ukraine is concerned, then territorial concession is something which is the biggest bone of contention, isn't it, Akhilesh? But this is a developing situation, and we'll keep taking updates from you on this. But as of now, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan met Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow as UAE continues to position itself as a key diplomatic mediator amid ongoing US-Russia-Ukraine efforts to end the conflict. The visit comes days after Abu Dhabi hosted the first round of trilateral talks between Russia, Ukraine and the United States on January 23 and 24. The discussions focused on territorial issues and security guarantees but ended without a breakthrough. A second round of talks is tentatively scheduled for February 1st. Talks at the Kremlin focused on strengthening UAE-Russia strategic partnership and expanding cooperation in trade, investment, technology, space and energy. The leaders also exchanged views on regional and global developments. Sheikh Mohammed reaffirmed the UAE's commitment to dialogue and peaceful conflict resolution. The Israeli military announced Friday it carried out overnight airstrikes in Rafah, southern Gaza, targeting what it described as 8 terrorists. 3 were killed in the operation, despite the ongoing ceasefire in the Palestinian territory. In its statement, the military said the group had surfaced from underground tunnels before being struck. It added that further operations were underway, with soldiers continuing searches in Rafah to locate and eliminate all the terrorists. Let's take a look at other stories now making news around the world. Around 50 items from music icons will be auctioned on February 1st to benefit Music Cares during Grammys Week. Mariah Carey honored a 2026 Music Cares Person of the Year, donated her pink Cadillac and jet ski. The auction reflects artists' commitment to supporting musicians' welfare through iconic memorabilia. Heavy rains in northern Morocco caused the Locus River to overflow, flooding neighborhoods in Ksar El Kebir, 160 kilometers from Rabat. Residents were evacuated in trucks as water inundated homes and streets. The flooding underscores the region's vulnerability to extreme weather events and the urgent need for disaster preparedness. Kabul residents face freezing temperatures with unstable electricity and costly heating. Many relied on woods coal or improvised fuels. Day laborer burns almond shells, which provide warmth for only an hour. Survival in Afghanistan's capital highlighted the harsh impact of winter on vulnerable communities. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Nation pays tribute to Father of the Nation Mahatma Gandhi on his death anniversary. His timeless legacy continues to inspire generations.
So the budget is round the corner, and let's begin with the health of the Indian industry and how it is doing.
We are growing well, and I think the estimates at this point in time truly reflects a very strong positive, not just the sentiment, but also what's really happening on the ground. The budget and the forthcoming weeks and months and years would really help us get into a much higher growth trajectory. There is a growth which has helped us also to be a very inclusive growth. The digital side of it has included people. It has increased opportunity for Indian companies, global companies. The private sector capex story is strong, but I would also imagine that the public sector capex is a great to keep the private sector, the multiplier effect on the private sector to be on through it.
So to sum it up, just the headline priorities for the viewers for the budget from the perspective of the Indian industry.
I would think that if we can get that foresight into the private sector by making it invest into future-ready industry, by bringing in research and development and innovation of its products and its services, it will go a long way.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj, and a quick recap of the headlines. US President Trump wants to impose additional tariffs on countries selling oil to Cuba, eases Venezuela sanctions after oil sector reforms. Trump plans to talk to Iran while Pentagon prepares for possible action. West Asian nations urge to resolve issue through dialogue. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar to hold talks with Arab leaders as New Delhi is set to host the second India-Arab Foreign Ministers meeting on 31st of January. India pays tribute to Father of the Nation Mahatma Gandhi on his 78th death anniversary today. President Draupadi Murmu attended the Sarva Dharma Prarthana Sabha, or the old religious prayer, at Rajghat and offered tributes to Mahatma Gandhi. Vice President C.P. Radhakrishnan also paid floral tributes at the memorial, reaffirming commitment to Gandhian ideals of peace and unity. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Defence Minister Rajnath Singh also paid floral tributes. Mahatma Gandhi was the guiding light of the country's struggle for independence. We remember not just him, but the timeless legacy that continues to inspire generations across continents. His commitment to truth, non-violence, and unity continues to inspire the world. Ayushi Ahuja has a report.
The world knows him through three simple lines: see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. Yes, Mahatma Gandhi, the father of the nation. Born on 2nd October 1869 in Porbandar, Gujarat, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi grew up a quiet child, later fondly called Bapu. The man was an epitome of simplicity, dressed in a simple, hand-woven cotton loincloth, often white, distinctive round eyeglasses, and simple sandals for footwear which he wore during all his marches against the British monarchy.
Gandhi's policies planned to force Britain.
The world remembers Gandhi as a towering freedom fighter, social reformer, political thinker, and a spiritual guide. Through movements like Dandi March, non-cooperation, civil disobedience, Quit India, Champaran Satyagraha, among others, Gandhi united millions under one banner: truth and non-violence. Mahatma Gandhi's greatest achievement came in 1947 when India finally won independence from British rule after nearly 2 centuries of colonial dominance. 3 years of peaceful resistance, his leadership united the entire Indian subcontinent that proved to the world that lasting change can come through unity, discipline, and non-violence. But January 30th, 1948 marked a dark chapter. While walking to his prayer meeting at Birla House in New Delhi, Gandhi was assassinated by Nathuram Godse. January 30th, 2026 marks the 78th death anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Yet, his ideas refused to die. Martin Luther King Jr. called Gandhi his guiding light, applying non-violence during America's civil rights movement. Nelson Mandela drew inspiration from Gandhi while fighting apartheid, earning him the title Gandhi of South Africa. The Dalai Lama has said Gandhi's life taught and inspired him. Former US President Barack Obama wrote that Gandhi's non-violent struggle became a beacon for marginalized communities worldwide, echoing Gandhi's timeless words: "Be the change you wish to see in the world." Even today, peace movements worldwide trace their roots back to his teachings.
In a world facing conflict, division, and intolerance, Gandhi's message feels more relevant than ever. Mohandas Gandhi didn't just lead India to independence. He gave the world a roadmap for freedom without violence. And as the world remembers him on his death anniversary, the real tribute lies in choosing peace. Ayushi Ahuja for DD India.
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar to hold bilateral talks with the visiting leaders as New Delhi all set to host the second India-Arab Foreign Ministers meeting on 31st of January. The meeting will be co-chaired by India and the UAE. The Foreign Ministers meeting is happening after a gap of 10 years, the first meeting being held in 2016 in Bahrain. At the first meet, the ministers identified 5 priority verticals of cooperation: economy, energy, education, media, and culture, and proposed a set of activities across these verticals. The second India-Arab Foreign Ministers meeting is expected to build on our existing cooperation, expanding and deepening this partnership. India-Arab Foreign Ministers meeting is the highest institutional mechanism driving this partnership, which was formalized in March 2002 when India and League of Arab States signed an MOU institutionalizing the process of dialogue. A memorandum of cooperation was signed for the establishment of Arab-India Cooperation Forum during the visit of the then Arab League Secretary General to India in December 2008, which was subsequently revised in 2013 in terms of structural organization. This is the first India-Arab Foreign Ministers meeting to be hosted by India in New Delhi and will see participation by all 22 Arab countries by foreign ministers, other ministers, ministers of state and other senior officials and Arab League. Ministers and delegates of the 22-member Arab League are gathering in New Delhi for the second India-Arab Foreign Ministers meeting. On Friday, Libya's foreign minister arrived in New Delhi, marking his first official visit to India. In a social media post on X, Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson Randeep Jaiswal said that his participation in the India-Arab Foreign Ministers meeting and engagements in New Delhi will build positive momentum for advancing our bilateral ties. Qatar's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Sultan bin Saad Al Muraiki, also arrived in New Delhi to participate in the meeting and was accorded a warm welcome by Ministry of External Affairs. Meanwhile, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of Somalia, Abdisalam Ali, also arrived in New Delhi today for the second India-Arab Foreign Ministers meeting. MEA, which is the Ministry of External Affairs, on social media said his visit will further deepen the cordial bilateral relations between India and Somalia. During a media interview, India's Union Minister of Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal lauded the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, saying that India has found recognition and importance across the world. The Union Minister also highlighted the growing significance of India as an international player on the geopolitical scale.
Free trade agreement between European Union and India places India at the high table of international geopolitics. Under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership, India has today found recognition and importance across the world. The world sees India as the fastest growing large economy, a country with strong macroeconomic fundamentals, a company growing very rapidly in terms of demand that 1.4 billion people, 140 crore Indians generate.
Talking about the recent India-European Union Free Trade Agreement, Union Minister Goyal said that India and EU members have complementary strengths and can work together as a force multiplier.
Under Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India now aspires to become a developed nation, Viksit Bharat, by 2047. And that is not possible unless we expand our international journey, our international business, our international engagements. And this FTA with 27 European countries, all developed nations, all nations with whom we really have no competition. We complement each other. They have different skill sets and products, we have different skill sets and products. And together, we become a force multiplier.
All right, and Romanian ambassador to India, Sana Latif, organized a cultural evening at her residence in New Delhi to celebrate India's Republic Day on Thursday. On the occasion, she called the just concluded India-EU FTA an important milestone which shows the power of large democracies. Moreover, more than trade, Latif hailed it as a symbol of mutual trust.
It shows the power of democracies joining together. It shows that although maybe, we don't see eye to eye to everything is normal, we are all sovereign, solid groups of countries or countries, but where we share a goal, then it becomes very powerful. And it's much more beneficial for our citizens when we cooperate. Both Indians and Europeans, Romanians will benefit from this deal. And it's not only the trade, I think it's actually a symbol for mutual trust. I think it shows now our companies, of course, will come here. Indian companies will go to Europe with much more trust because they see the amazing endorsement that was at high level, like you said, for Republic Day. So this will definitely lead to more projects in defense, in people-to-people contacts, in academic. There is so much that this is opening the way to.
India's Union Minister Amit Shah laid the foundation stone for construction of new assembly complex in Dibrugarh, Assam, ushering a fresh lease of developmental efforts in the second administrative hub of Assam. A total of 5 projects costing approximately 825 crore rupees were launched. The Home Minister congratulated Assam's Chief Minister, Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma, on achieving the great feat of making a second assembly building in the second capital of Assam, Dibrugarh. He congratulated all Dibrugarh citizens on becoming the citizens of Assam's second capital.
भाइयों और बहनों, आज यहाँ पर लगभग 825 करोड़ की लागत से 5 परियोजनाओं का भूमि पूजन और उद्घाटन हुआ है। सबसे पहले मैं आसाम के मुख्यमंत्री श्री हेमंत बिस्वा शर्मा को डिब्रूगढ़ की जनता की ओर से बहुत बहुत बधाई देना चाहता हूं। इन्होंने 2025 में घोषणा की कि आसाम को हम समावेशी बनाएंगे और डिब्रूगढ़ को असम की दूसरी राजधानी बनाने का उन्होंने निर्णय घोषित किया।
And let's take a look at other stories making news. A Maori tribal delegation from New Zealand performed the traditional haka dance at Telangana's Samaka Saralama shrine during the Jatara festival. The cultural exchange highlighted shared indigenous values and global solidarity. The performance added international significance to India's largest tribal festival, strengthening bonds between communities across continents. Kozhikode launched the Kerala Disability Festival, one of India's largest grassroots initiative promoting inclusion and disability rights, organized by Tannalam with over 30 rights groups and supported by local administration and cultural society. The event highlights community collaboration to build a more inclusive society through awareness and participation. And we are heading for a short break. You stay tuned to DD India.
Today, we try to answer a key question. Is there a cleaner, affordable and eco-friendly way to travel?
Air quality has deteriorated significantly over the past 10 years. The reason? The increase in road traffic.
The train is powered by green hydrogen, a renewable fuel that promises to reduce climate-damaging CO2 emissions. So the green hydrogen becomes a real alternative to fossil fuels. Both countries have a joint green hydrogen roadmap to increase production and reduce the reliance on fossil fuels.
I think there should be a lot more built-out pavements with green space in it. This road is extremely long and is lovely for walking and cycling, but there's nowhere to sit.
You're watching DD Indian News Hour. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj. And US President Donald Trump is expected to announce on Friday his intent to nominate Kevin Warsh as the next chair of the Federal Reserve. The move is likely to ease months of uncertainty in financial markets over the future direction of US monetary policy. Warsh's nomination offers investors an early signal of how interest rate policy may evolve once current Federal Chair Jerome Powell term ends in May. Markets are closely watching the decision for its potential impact on inflation, borrowing costs and economic growth. Europe's economy has been going through some tough times, and none more than Germany's in particular at the center of the problems, high energy prices. Now, European energy ministers got together to refine plans for the future of energy generation on the continent. Lars Holter is with Deutsche Welle and joins me from Berlin. Hi Lars, what can you tell us about those plans?
Thanks for having me. Well, let's start with the very name of the conference where those energy secretaries met. It was the North Sea Summit, and it was held in the city of Hamburg. Obviously, the North Sea was front and center, as it is indeed with regards to planning the future of energy policy in Europe. The North Sea is around 1,000 kilometers long and 600 kilometers wide. It borders on Great Britain, Denmark, Norway, Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium and France. And it connects to the Baltic Sea, the Norwegian Sea, and of course the Atlantic Ocean. While oil and gas have been explored there for years, the North Sea today is much more important in the development of renewable energies. The weather there is quite rough, thus the North Sea is a prime location for offshore wind farms. In fact, those European countries envision the North Sea as the world's largest power plant by 2050.
Lars, what is that supposed to look like? What do we know about these plans?
Well, it certainly starts with greatly expanding the number of wind turbines. New offshore wind parks are currently in planning stages, and at some point there are supposed to be tens of thousands of them active. The concept also envisions new power cables on the seabed to better connect the continent, and huge industrial plants converting renewable energy into green hydrogen, some of them directly at sea. One pretty impressive number, according to the latest plans, some 300 gigawatts of wind power capacity should be online by 2050. Obviously, these plans are very expensive, but according to calculations by the Industry Association Wind Europe, the additional electricity generated in northern Germany could replace 70 billion euros worth of fossil fuel imports annually from 2040 onwards. That would be equal to about 1/5 of current imports, so there will be tremendous savings in the long run.
All right, we leave there, Lars. Thank you so much. And with Budget 2026 approaches, focuses on simpler taxation and a wider tax base. Previous budgets have focused heavily on reducing direct taxes for individuals and corporations to boost disposable income, consumption and corporate investment.
Budget 2026 is expected to send a strong message with bold, people-centric tax reforms. The focus is likely to be on a simpler taxation, a wider tax base and stronger trust, using fiscal policy to boost growth, consumption and investment. Personal taxpayers are hoping for meaningful relief. On indirect taxes, GST reforms remain central. Industry expects rate rationalization, simplified tax structures, fast input tax credit refunds and incentives for long-term investments. For corporates, the demand is clear: stability and predictability in tax policy.
The government should stabilize the tax structures so that it is very crystal clear to everybody. There is just 0 to 1 option, which should be it should be in binary. The capital gain, which is taxable, that is kind of stopping lots of investors to invest in a startup. So that should be freed for some more time.
The BFI sector's expectations from the budget are largely about system strength, how well financial intermediaries can mobilize savings and transmit credit efficiently. One key area is tax parity between deposits and bond investments.
Now, talking of the budget of 2026, we expect some more rationalization into slabs, and it will be good if there are only 3 major slabs in terms of direct taxes. We also expect some kind of revision in TDS norms to make sure that businesses have more cash to run.
Recent union budgets underline a clear trend. India's tax policy is becoming simpler and more growth-oriented. Under the new tax regime, income of up to 12 lakh rupees is tax-free, rising to 12.75 lakhs for salary taxpayers with standard deduction. Compliance has improved with rationalized TDS and TCS norms, higher LRS thresholds, and decriminalization of minor delays. Custom duties have also been simplified by reducing tariff slabs. Overall, India's tax framework is steadily moving from complexity to simplicity, supporting growth and inclusive development.
Budget 2026 is about encouraging innovation and ensuring that taxation becomes a catalyst in the nation's journey towards a resilient and inclusive Bharat. With camera person Mukesh, this is Tripti Tripathi reporting for DD India from New Delhi.
You're watching DD India News. Time now for some sports news. And Australia's Olivia Gadecki and John Pearce became the first pair in 37 years to successfully defend the Australian Open mixed doubles title today. They defeated French duo Kristina Mladenovic and Manuel Guinar 4-6, 6-3, 10-8 in a thrilling final. The wildcard pair became the first team since Jana Novotná and Jim Pugh in 1989 to retain the crown, and the first Australian pair to do so since Margaret Court and Ken Fletcher 62 years ago. It was a third Grand Slam mixed doubles title for Pearce, along with one men's doubles crown and the second for Gadecki. World number 1 Carlos Alcaraz has advanced to the men's singles final of the Australian Open 2026. Alcaraz secured a hard-fought 5-set victory over the world number 3 Zverev to move one step closer to his maiden Melbourne crown. Alcaraz will face the winner of the second semi-final between 24-time Grand Slam champion Novak Djokovic and defending champion Jannik Sinner. Olympic champion, the World Cup winner Crystal Dunn has announced her retirement from professional football. With 160 appearances, Dunn was a key figure for US's women's national team in their World Cup win and a 2024 Olympic triumph. Dunn hoisted the top-flight NWSL trophy 3 times with North Carolina Courage in 2018 and 2019 as well with Portland Thorns in 2022. Dunn is the latest in a series of high-profile players from the United States' modern golden age to retire. She played alongside the likes of Megan Rapinoe and Alex Morgan, cementing herself as a bedrock of the U.S. backline. 33-year-old Crystal Dunn scored 25 goals in 160 games for the U.S. team and finished her club career with PSG. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.